Hello and welcome to In the QC, a podcast brought to you by the Quad Cities Chamber. If you aren't from here, I know what you're thinking. QC? That's where? The QC is the heart of the Midwest, a proud, forward-thinking family of communities connected by one of the world's most renowned rivers, the Mississippi. The region attracts returners and explorers, investors, and entrepreneurs because it offers the well-being and comforts of the accessible, the homegrown, and the local, combined with an inventive imagination that embraces arts, businesses, and global aspirations.
Hello, welcome back to In the QC podcast brought to you by the Quad Cities Chamber. I'm your host, Lo, and I am so excited for today's episode. We're going to be talking about hiring individuals with disabilities. So I'm very excited for my guests today. I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves. Mark, how about we start with you?
Good morning, Lo. My name is Mark Holloway. I'm the Vice President for Talent and Inclusion with the Quad Cities Chamber of Commerce. Marcy, I kick it over to you.
Hi, Marcy Denoweth. I'm the Senior Director of Human Resources with Bally's Quad Cities Casino and Hotel.
And my name is Jenny Miller. I'm the Director of Community Employment Services with the Arc of the Quad Cities.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I really appreciate it. Mark, how about you talk a little bit about the talent shortage in the Quad Cities in the U.S. and how the Chamber is providing resources for our region?
Thank you, Lo. So we find ourselves, not just here in the Quad Cities, but across the whole nation, really a perfect storm. So we've had a large number of people who are retiring. We've had a continuous shortage of babies being born in the U.S. And so now, after the pandemic, we find ourselves in a really unheard of or unseen before talent crisis, where we don't have enough people in our community to fill the open jobs that we have. And so now we have to be more creative about how we assess talent, what are going to be our pipelines that we use to help fill our jobs. And the Chamber about 2 years ago created the talent department to help fill this need. And so we are having really 3 sections where we are looking at how can we work with our K-12 partners really to help prepare young people in the K-12 system to be better prepared to take job opportunities as they come up, whether you have a college degree or not. We're also working with people who are in our community right now and say, hey, are you really working at your highest capacity? So we are looking to maybe work with people who have not been traditionally very involved with our economy, helping them get reskilled and upskilled so they can better participate. And then we have a talent attraction campaign where we are looking to recruit more people to this area. We feel we have a great community here in the Quad Cities, and we think it's a great place for people to relocate for work. One of the things I'm excited about today is that we are creating a pipeline. And so I think working with individuals who've had some type of disability is really an untapped source of talent that we can really take advantage of. And so we have people who are eager to work, who are willing to work. And so I think it's important for our employers to be made aware of those opportunities. And that's why I'm excited about this podcast today.
Yeah, Mark, I know that the workforce issues are at the top of most employers' minds right now and have been throughout the pandemic. But I think it's these hard situations that do, like you said, offer us the opportunity to be creative and in turn more inclusive in how we are working to solve those workforce issues. So again, I'm so excited about today's podcast. I think our viewers are going to be really interested to learn some of the things we're going to talk about. So I'm going to open up with the first question. Why is it important to employ people with disabilities?
They are, as Mark said, it's an untapped source of talent and labor. It really is an excellent place to start looking. And it's a lot of people think that it might be untraditional. Maybe it is, but there's really a lot of opportunity there. If you think about the disability community, it really encompasses a wide range of disabilities. And a lot of people with a lot of very varied talents might also happen to have disabilities. So whether you're looking for unskilled labor or skilled labor or someone on a professional level, all of those people might also include someone with a disability. So it's really important to not disregard or not consider a job candidate just because they have disability. I think it's really important to include those people in the labor market.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you, Jenny. Thank you. So Marcy and Jenny, what should a company know about employing individuals with disabilities? Could you give me maybe your top 5 things?
I was going to say, Jenny, do you want to go ahead or do you want me to go?
I'll let you go, Marcy, if you want to. I do have.
Well, I'm sorry. I guess the biggest thing is we focus on their abilities, not their disability.
I love that. I love that.
It's not, I don't feel like I'm hiring somebody any different than anybody else that walks in off the street to be hired. We just, they're just like you and I, let's put it that way. There's nothing different as when I look at one of them come in the door.
Yeah, absolutely, Marcy. I would definitely agree with that. They can and they should be productive. So, don't look at them any differently than you would another job candidate. The services that the ARC provides can help walk you through some of those issues. But that's why we're here. And we do not charge. I think it's important to point out that we don't charge the business for the services that we provide. We're funded primarily through the Department of Rehabilitation, but also we have some grants that help fund our program. So the employers don't pay for our services, but we're there to help walk them through that process and to make it easier. Our job candidates are, like Marcy said, when they walk through the door, you should just consider them like any other job candidate. They might learn a little bit more slowly than other candidates. But again, we provide the service of a job coach and send a job coach along who is available for up to 90 days, sometimes longer if needed. Bally's doesn't typically use a job coach, and some businesses choose not to utilize a coach, but I think you guys have been fine without coaches. I really get the feeling that that's never been an issue.
No, there hasn't been, and part of that is the constant communication between us and the ARC as well.
So those are some of the important things to keep in mind. Partly it's be flexible, but also don't make it difficult. It's not a hard process. Don't make it any more difficult than it needs to be. But we help walk the employers through the process and are there to act as a support system as well.
That's great. And I think a lot of our viewers probably don't understand the relationship that the ARC builds with these businesses to help provide all of the resources that they would need moving in this direction. And I think that that's a really special relationship between the ARC and, say, Bally's or any of the other companies that you guys are working with. I think that just shows the groundwork that you guys are doing to make sure that these programs are successful. And it's so great that we have a resource like this in the Quad Cities region. Jenny and Marcy, what kind of disabilities might you see come through this program? I'm sure, when it comes to disabilities, some are seen and some aren't. So how do you guys kind of handle the wide array of different disabilities?
Well, I'll speak up. This is Jenny, but the ARC primarily works with adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So that could be someone on the spectrum, it could be a person with Down syndrome, it could be, there are really, that encompasses a very wide range of disabilities. We also do occasionally work with other disabilities as well, but the bulk of the candidates that we work with do fall into that group of what we call ID, which is intellectual disability, and DD, or developmental disability. So those are primarily the candidates that we're working with, and that is typically who we would refer. We work with candidates who have other disabilities. We might work with individuals who are on the autism spectrum. I think perhaps you've heard the term neurotypical or neurodivergent. So we work with some of those candidates as well. There are also other agencies who work with individuals with different types of disabilities, but we tend to focus more on the intellectual and developmental disabilities.
That's great. And Jenny and Marcy, what types of positions work well with various disabilities? So when you have this program, what kind of positions are you seeing that are being filled?
We fill a lot of different types of positions. The most common positions are things like dishwashing, janitorial. I think Bally's refers to those positions as environmental services. There are a lot of different titles or different names for some of these positions. We also do have people working in kitting, light assembly. So we've worked with some of the manufacturing businesses in the area, as well as service industry. The schools have hired quite a few dishwashers from our program. I think, it's also important not to get too focused on looking at unskilled labor. Sometimes what we are able to do is to go into a business, and if there are bottlenecks in a procedure or in a process, we can pull out one or two parts of a job description and just have a person step in and just do those specific tasks. A lot of the candidates that we work with are only looking for part-time. So they might be happy with the 3-hour shift, whereas somebody who is looking for a full-time job with benefits and has car payments and a lot of other financial responsibilities needs that full-time job with benefits. But a lot of the job candidates that we work with are happy to work a 3 or a 4-hour shift. And so that really lends itself well to what we call customizing a job.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like the system that you guys have is really flexible to work with these candidates to find the perfect position or the perfect schedule for them. And I think that's so important. That is great. So Marcy, let's turn to you. How does Bally's Quad Cities work with the ARC to hire people?
We usually just connect and see if there's anybody available and what positions they might be interested at the time. Like anybody else in the Quad Cities right now, from an employer perspective, I have about 90 positions open, which I've had for, I hate to say how long. So it's who they have available, scheduling a time to sit down and talk. Obviously, safety is very important to us. So we figure out how that person learns and if it would fit for the positions we have available.
That's great. And what are the benefits that Bally sees from hiring individuals with disabilities, Marcy?
Personally or overall? Both.
Oh, I would love to hear both.
There's a gentleman, and obviously I won't use names, but there's a gentleman that works with us. He brings me joy every day when I see him. It's the smile on his face. I'm just getting chills telling you. It's such a pure smile and genuine excitement that it makes me step back, appreciate the small things, and he literally brings me joy every time I see him.
Oh, Marcy, you're gonna make me cry. That is so sweet. I think the connection, the personal connections, and the workplace benefits. It's just, what a special program. And it sounds that you have not only benefited from this in the workplace environment, but on a personal level to be involved with the ARC and with working with people with disabilities. I think that is really special. And I think our viewers are going to get a lot from what you just said about that.
They bring me more joy than they realize. I know that.
Oh, that is so special. And Jenny, you probably hear this across the board from all of the employers that you work with.
We do hear that a lot. there are just so many benefits to hiring people with disabilities. I could go on and on, from the, I like to talk about the warm fuzzy, it really makes you feel good when you've got the right person placed in the right job, and to know that they are successful and that they are happy and the employer is happy and everything just clicks. But, there's also the business point of view where there's reduced turnover, reduced training cost. There is an impact. They have done studies that show that people are more likely to engage with a business who has programs, sort of social programs, or ethical business practices that they agree with. It actually does bring more to the bottom line. So there is a proven business reason for hiring people with disabilities. But you also look at the amount of money that goes back into the local economy. You've got people who may not have been working before who now have money that they can go out and they can spend. Mm-hmm. They could go to the movies, they could go out to eat, they can. We have several individuals that we know who love to shop on Amazon. So, they're making Amazon purchases. It keeps the delivery businesses, Federal Express, and who all does the delivery. Not that they probably need any more business this time of year. They probably need more drivers, but it really helps everybody, not just the business, not just the individual with a disability, but also there's an economic benefit as well. There's a reduced reliance on social programs, Social Security, food stamps. There are so many benefits to this program that I really don't think people realize the impact. It's like a huge domino effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about my own personal life, I find so much fulfillment in the work that I do. So giving people with disabilities the opportunity to find that same sense of fulfillment in the work that they're doing, I think is so important, not only for, our regional economy, not only for the employers, but for their sense of being as well. And again, then you can, you have the resources to be able to do those things that maybe a lot of us take for granted, like going to that movie or spending a little extra money at the grocery store or buying that Amazon purchase. And I think that is, just such a important thing for all of the participants in this program. So I think that's so great, Jenny. So I'll open up another question for both Marcy, Jenny, and Mark. Any great success stories that you might be able to share with us today about the program or about the work that the people with disabilities are doing for the employers?
Well, go ahead, Jenny.
Well, I was just going to say there were so many, it's hard to pick one. So Marcy.
And that is a sign of how successful this is. If you have to rack your brain and be like, I have too many options to say, that I think shows how successful this is.
Well, I think I think customers love seeing people who are working, who are happy doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. The success story I'm thinking about happens to be at a grocery store where when you go to, check out your items at a store and you see that the bagger is happy. They're happy to bag your groceries. They're happy to push your carts. They're happy to collect the carts and bring them back in the store. They're happy. People love that, right? I think, most people are happy seeing other people who are happy. And generally you will find that when working or looking at individuals with disabilities who are being productive, who are not. This is no pity party here. We're doing it and we're doing it well. And we want you to know that we're excited about what we're doing. I find that in so many cases where individuals with disabilities are finding employment, it makes everyone happy around them. People gravitate towards them because they're enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct there, Mark. The sense of satisfaction that they get from going to work every day, the self-confidence, it's just, it's amazing to see some people just blossom. You know, they have that job and they're so proud to go to work every day. You know, they've maybe watched their parents go to work every day, and you know, because most adults do go to work. So they really take a lot of pride in going to work and getting on the bus and taking the bus and being very independent. And, you know, there are varying degrees to that independent, but, you know, our goal is to help them to do to the most of their ability, you know, whatever that is for that person.
Well, I'll jump in real quick with my personal experience. There's a young man who's a bagger at my local grocer that I go to. I go to that specific grocery store just to see him. He has the biggest smile on his face, and you can just tell he loves what he does. And every time I see him, he goes, "Make it a great day." And I just love it. Some days, if I'm having a bad day, I might not even need to go get groceries, but I'll stop in, I'll pick up a couple of things just so I can see him, because he truly does make my day every time I see him. So again, that plays into kind of the overarching bigger idea of these programs are the people like me connect with these programs. They come, I go to that grocer specifically to spend my money to keep my tax dollars in the Quad Cities, but I'm doing it because I've connected with these employees so much, and they truly do make my day. And I think that's probably, I'm probably not the only one, right? This is probably a universal thing around our region of individuals and community members just connecting with these beautiful souls that we see that make our day so much brighter. And it's really great to see the ARC and employers like Bally's being a part of this. I think it's really great for our region.
I had one question. How long has the ARC and Bally's worked together?
Yeah, great question, Mark.
Oh gosh, Jenny, I don't even remember. It's been a while.
It has been, it's been a very long time. I've been with the ARC for roughly 6 years now, and this was a relationship that was already established before I started. So
I think that's great. And the reason why I asked that is that this is a long-term supply chain. You know, this is a long-term talent fix that Bally's working with, right? So this is not just we're going to use it for a few months. Bally's have been partnering with ARC for several years now, right? So this is a long-term talent solution. So I really like that. And I think that's important for those who may listen to this podcast to know this can be a long-term fix for you.
yes, absolutely. And those are the relationships that work best, is when we do develop this long-term relationship, you know, and it keeps going. We might not have the right person, you know, as Marcy said, you know, right at that moment, but that doesn't mean that a couple of weeks or maybe a month later, we might have a job candidate who's a great fit. So it's important to keep the communication open.
Great. And Jenny, on that note, how can a company connect with the ARC for their employment needs?
Just call.
Oh, great.
Really, it's that simple. You know, I would be glad to provide my contact information. It's also on our website. If you go to the ARC of the Quad Cities and look for, I think it's under a tab, how to contact us, but my name and my email address is right there. So call or send an email, and we will we'll talk to you. And each business is different. Each job is different. So we really, it's important to us, and it's important to the business, that we are looking at each job and each business and finding the person that fits the business's needs. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's all about, really, at the end of the day, you know, I might be in it to solve or to better this individual, but the business is in there to fill a position. So we want to make sure that we are thoughtful and purposeful about the candidates that we send.
That's great.
I'll say that, you know, we don't treat them differently than any other employee. You know, we have rules to follow, policies to follow, and those individuals follow those same rules as everybody else.
They do.
Might learn a little differently. We might teach them a little differently, but they abide by everything just like anybody else does.
Great. Marcy, what would you say to another employer that maybe was on the fence about reaching out to the ARC? What like encouragement, or what would you say with your experience?
I think the biggest thing is it's kind of a no-brainer for me that what is the hesitation? There shouldn't be.
Yep.
I've been here 14 years, and yes, I did social services prior. I did HR, but at a social services agency. And, you know, we put our pants on the same way. We wake up every morning the same way. It's an untapped service that is there for all of us. And I can't put it into words what it means to me as an employer.
Well, thank you for that, Marcy. Thank you so much. We're at the end of our time here today. Is there any last comments that you, Jenny, Marcy, or Mark would like to shout out or make?
I would just like to just salute Bally's and the ARC working together. I think we're in a time where it's all hands on deck, right? Everyone can be productive. Everyone can contribute. And I think I think it's great that they are saying, what are all our options, right? There are so many options. We're not just saying, well, we don't have enough people. No, there are people in the Quad Cities who want to work. There are people in the Quad Cities who can work. And I think it's, again, being a little bit creative, keeping open lines of communication. I think that's so important for businesses to be successful, to be able to pivot, right? To be able to find the talent that they need, both now and into the future. So kudos to both you guys.
I just want to say thank you to Jenny for being that wonderful partner in the Quad City area. I just, again, I can't put it into words what it means to me.
Oh, well, thank you, Marcy. We're grateful for the partnership as well. I mean, Bally's has been a wonderful business to work with and an excellent employer for so many of the individuals that we look for jobs for and we place. So it's a win-win all the way around.
Great, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Marcy, Mark, and Jenny, for joining me today. I truly appreciate it. I know our viewers are going to be able to take so much from this podcast. I was very excited to sit down with you all today. Well, thank you again to all of our viewers for joining us for episode 9 of In the QC podcast. It's been a real joy sitting down with Jenny, Marcy, and Mark today. Just a reminder that both Jenny's contact information and Marcy's contact information, as well as Mark's, will be in the description, as well as website information. So you can head to our description and find all of the websites that you need to learn a little bit more about these programs and businesses. Thank you again, everyone. It was such a joy to sit down with you guys, and I am looking forward to the continued success of this program, as well as the employers getting involved in it.